Trunks and Vegeta prepared to finish off the Kai and Majin duo, though were horrified to see Zamasu regenerating from the final flash. Both he and Black smirked, the Kai revealing that with Super Boo's body, they could stick a piece of Black onto himself and become practically immortal. Oh, but that's not all. Since Black already had immortality, then Zamasu was free to wish for whatever he wanted. And after seeing just how strong every warrior from Universe 7 was, and especially after sparring with Goku, the Kai wished for the power of the Saiyans. The trio wouldn't know it just from looking at him, but Zamasu's hair was spiked up, and his base power had been increased by 50 times. He had truly become a monster, an abomination all his own. This exposition allows our small piece of Buu to aid Cell in regenerating, something the Bugman appreciated since Zamasu really packed a punch.
So, these two have far surpassed what they should be capable of. I am only 10% of the original Buu, and I can't keep healing you three forever. We should retreat.
Retreat? Since when did we ever do that, my friend? You saw the conditions Trunks and the others are living in. It's absolutely abhorrent. I'd rather fight until my last breath than allow them to continue living in fear. Buu went to stop Cell, but he flashed into Kaioken, completely blindsiding Zamasu and sending him crashing through a few skyscrapers. When Black attempted to retaliate, Vegeta knocked him back with a kick to the chest before falling back and allowing Trunks to slice the corrupted genie in half. Buu watched from the sidelines, trying to see just how well Black knew his own body, and it turned out, not very well. While he could put himself back together, regenerate, and heal Zamasu, the advantages of a Majin body didn't stop there. When fighting, Buu purposely shaped his body into strange, unorthodox shapes to dodge blows or even catch his opponents in a trap, especially since he didn't have any sort of internal organs to protect. Black, meanwhile, still tried to protect his chest and head, and relied on his arms to block incoming attacks, or wasted valuable seconds dodging blows from the opponent. The imposter was a good fighter, clearly having years of martial arts experience, but he had a long way to go if he wanted to surpass the person he was trying to copy. Still though, Black was easily keeping up with Vegeta and Trunks, and while Zamasu wasn't able to contend with a Kaioken enhanced Cell, especially after his Zenkai, he was still hanging in there. Constantly healing fighters on the level of Vegeta would be too draining for this piece of Buu, while Black continued to grow in power and could easily keep his partner going for hours. As the tide of battle turned in the favor of the villains, Vegeta found himself on the receiving end of Black's wrath. The Majin was able to launch a series of pink Keyblades at the Saiyan, using hundreds of them to pin Vegeta down and then pierce his body, the attack ending in a large explosion that blew future Trunks back towards the ground. Likewise, Cell was also defeated shortly after, due to Zamasu constantly growing in power, likely due to his newfound Saiyan trait. The Kai managed to overwhelm Cell with a giant heavenly orb, causing his body to be completely obliterated, ending in him having to regenerate from his nucleus. Future Trunks, seeing his father near death and Cell completely wiped off the face of the earth, rushes Black, wildly swinging his sword in an attempt to do something, anything, to the monster. Without so much as a second thought, Black catches the sword before plunging a Keyblade straight through Trunks' stomach, kicking the Saiyan down towards his mortally injured father. Buu, having split himself 3 ways to aid all 3 fighters with their injuries, was quickly running out of energy. However, that's when Cell revealed a plan to one of the pieces.
Buu, have you analyzed this guy? Do you see anything we can use to defeat him? If I brought my body to the future, I could take Black in a one-on-one. But as you said, we can't just leave these civilians alone.
Buu began to make his way towards the others, but Cell stopped him.
Buu, we both know you can barely heal those 2 after helping me out. However, they aren't the only ones who can heal and come back stronger.
Cell powered up, unleashing a crazy amount of power, revealing he had surpassed Zamasu and Black individually, albeit barely.
Take those two back to the past and formulate a plan to eradicate these monstrosities.
Cell used Kaioken times 5 and began to fight off the future threats. Boo rejoined his other two pieces, completely healing Trunks and Vegeta, though this left him with far too little power. He thought about waking them up and continuing the fight, but Cell was right. Even if they did continue this, it was a war of attrition, and Boo had run out of supplies. Next time, he'll make sure to bring Senzu, as well as his full body. Next time, they would not lose. Boo, along with future Mai and Yajirobe, make their way to the time machine, the genie explaining his plan to come back stronger and better prepared. He promises to come back within a day, telling them to survive until then. That, he fires up the machine, going off into the past while Cell does his best to buy them time. Once arriving on Capsule Corp grounds, Mai, Trunks, and Goten excitedly swarm the ship, eager to hear about Black's defeat, only to be disappointed and horrified at the outcome. Mai is especially upset when hearing about her father staying behind, even asking the trio why they could let that happen. Goten and Trunks try to calm the girl, but she powers up and grabs onto future Trunks' collar, and demands to know why they couldn't bring her papa home.
I wasn't strong enough.
Future Trunks can't look Mai in the eyes, looking down towards the ground.
We weren't strong enough, boy. Your father made sure we could get away safely and prepare for a counterattack. The enemy is stronger than anything we've faced before, with perfect, nigh immortal bodies, and power that grows with each attack.
Vegeta pulled the girl off of his son, telling her that they'll waste no time in preparing to help her father. Mai calms down before asking what the plan of attack was, only for Boo to teleport and then instantly reappear, now millions of times stronger than prior. He informs them that he had been training with Gohan and Piccolo, who were on the way, as well as the fact that he had informed Goku and Beerus about Zamasu. He advises Vegeta and Trunks to train together and work towards getting future Trunks a godly form, if possible. The two Saiyans do just that, with Vegeta dragging his son towards the room of spirit and time, after finding out it'll take Bulma about a day to get the machine ready. Mai, too, is eager to train, wanting nothing more than to help save her papa, though Boo is hesitant about this. While she is powerful, being even stronger than present Trunks, she's a far cry from Black. But the girl persists, begging to be trained just like her father, knowing that Boo is the best suited to help at the moment. Well, the Majin was intent on getting some last-minute training with Gohan, as well as this Mofuba thing that Piccolo mentioned. So he figured letting Mai join in wouldn't be too bad, right? Well, as the roughly 24 hours go by, Boo trains with Gohan, Piccolo, Goten, present Trunks, and Mai. He split himself 5 ways and astonishingly was able to keep up with everyone, although Gohan did push his Boo clone. The genie made sure to continuously heal his sparring partners, making sure they didn't need to rest or recover, making as much use out of their time together as he could. Mai, like her father, had the most stamina out of the group, and her regeneration was even better than Cell's, possibly even Boo's. She was truly a force to be reckoned with, having the potential to surpass her father someday, although that was nowhere near today. Of all the people there, Gohan was still the strongest, though Mai had securely come in second place. In fact, Gohan and Mai were so strong that Boo had to recall a couple of his pieces in order to further push them. He left a piece of himself with Piccolo, though its only purpose was mastering the Mofuba, while Goten and Trunks fought a 20% clone together. The boys were certainly strong, but Gohan and Mai were far more driven. Something Boo had to admit was incredibly fun to watch. Maybe after this was all said and done, he'd become a teacher or something. Maybe go back to planet Mogina and see what's become of his students there. Well, for now, that'd have to wait. as their day was up and everyone was ready to return to the future. Beerus and Goku had visited Universe 10, and that goes about how you expect, although the cat does still insist that future Zamasu should be erased. Despite this reassurance from the GOD, Buu is still resolute in traveling to the future, as is Vegeta. Without wasting any further time, the group all sends you up before getting shrunk into candy and making their way to the future. Boo's preparing the machine for travel when, right as he's going to close the ship's door, May flies in, traveling to the future with the rest of the crew. Of course, Boo, Candy, Vegeta, and Trunks all berate the girl for doing something so reckless, although Bulma isn't too worried, given all the things that she's been through on this wacky adventure. Either way, once they make it to the future, everyone does their best to sense for Cell, but they can't find a trace of him anywhere. Boo tells Trunks to take Bulma and the others to their base, as he'll search for Cell himself. The genie then splits himself into 10 clones, though May refuses to go anywhere without her papa and flies into the sky, getting an overhead view of the decimated city. She can't understand why these evildoers would do such a thing. Not even Frieza was this destructive when he attacked. But then she spots something. About a mile away, there was a giant crater smack dab in the middle of the city. She flies right towards it, especially after spotting a giant green bug in the middle of it. Apparently, it had rained in their time away, as Cell was laying face down in a puddle, though May had a hope that he was okay. Perhaps he was just playing dead, taking time to regenerate while the enemy thought he had passed. However, as the girl flew up to him and turned him over, she felt just how cold he was. Future Trunks, seeing this play out for the second time in his life, kneeled next to her, trying to comfort the girl, though she was frozen in time, looking down at her papa. He gave us quite the runaround, constantly regenerating and coming back for more. But of course, such an abomination couldn't stand a chance against a god. Zamasu and Black appeared from within a ruined building.
Yes, and as his strength waned, our power grew. Leaving such a powerful opponent behind may have backfired on you mortals.
Black began pulling what looked like a scythe from his hand as the two cackled, though it was cut short when Trunks separated Zamasu's head from his body, and Vegeta shot a point-blank Gallic gun right back at Black. The imposter was able to heal from this without issue, though Zamasu had to wait until his partner put his head back on its shoulders. Just as the Kai was about to return to the battle, Trunks sliced and diced him up, before using a blast to nearly eviscerate the remaining pieces. This didn't eradicate the Kai, though it did slow him down, allowing Vegeta and Buu to completely overwhelm Black. The evil genie did his best to keep up, but when trying to strike at Buu, he repeatedly shaped and formed his body around said attacks, while simultaneously hitting his opponent. In short, the original Majin was impossible to hit or evade. Once Black was sufficiently beaten, Buu pulled out an urn and prepared to use the Mafuba. Black was suspicious of this random urn, but was completely unprepared when a giant vortex began pulling him into it. Zamasu watched from the sidelines, completely horrified, but Trunks kept him from intervening, and so Black is successfully sealed. The group is about to finish off Zamasu, but that's right when Kawasu and Shin appear. They figured the apprentice Kai would stay alive due to his time ring, and the elder Kai wanted to confront his once pupil, face to face. Vegeta and the others give Kawasu a chance to talk with his apprentice, but this gives someone else another chance. While Zamasu was talking, the small piece of black that had been attached to his back and neck slipped off, crawling through the rubble across the city and making its way to the urn. May, who was still mourning her father's demise, was the only one to notice the blob moving. She tried to race over, yelling out to stop, but the blob was able to contort its body, slipping from between the girl's hands and forming a small blade that sliced right through the urn. Black emerged and without a second to waste, put his Patara on the other ear, fusing with Zamasu in an instant. The two form a grotesque creature with flesh constantly melting, unable to make up its own mind between taking the form of green skin or pink sludge. The face was undoubtedly Zamasu's, but the constant healing from Black made his face scarred and deformed, with skin taut and stretched over malformed bone. His hair had stayed mostly intact, though broken patches made their way down his newfound green antenna. The halo formed behind said creature was originally white, but just like Fusumasu's skin, it soon turned a sickly green, with electricity constantly lashing out at nearby buildings. Overall, the creature that was formed looked just as ugly as the imposter's personality, something Gawasu was sure to mention. This didn't stop the fusion from flaunting its new power, tormenting the Z-Fighters with pillars of lightning. Super Boo, Vegeta, and Trunks were forced to defend their comrades from such attacks, with the genie being the only one who could stand after a few moments. This seemed to irritate Fusamasu, who began aiming all his attacks at the Majin. Boo stood his ground, though even he eventually fell to the fusion's might, being blasted deeper and deeper into the ground by lightning bolts. Everyone is forced to watch as Fusamasu brutally tortures Boo, cackling maniacally all the while. Vegeta tries to rush a fusion, though when throwing a punch, it's caught and instantly broken, before he's thrown to the side like trash. Trunks too rushes in to attack with his sword, but when that's broken and several keyblades are launched into his chest, he too falls. The fusion begins to berate everyone, telling them how foolish it was to believe that they could stop him, but emphasizing just how moronic it was for Trunks himself to try to stop them. After all, he was the one who started all of this. If he hadn't gone back in time, then Zamasu wouldn't have met Goku, and the Earth wouldn't have been destroyed. So, if anyone was sad about their fate, they should all blame Trunks. The fusion felt a large blast hit him in the back, and when turning, he saw Mei holding her hands together. Yeah, maybe Trunks broke the law, and so did my dad, but they were doing it to help people. What's your excuse? You're just gonna blame everybody but yourself, not take accountability for your actions? That Gawasu guy was right. You really are that ugly on the inside. Ugly? This is what it takes to make the universe itself beautiful. A filthy amalgamation of machine and flesh like yourself could never understand the view of a god. The fusion held his hand up, forming a giant golden and black blast before throwing it down at the girl. She launched a final flash right at the orb, though this did little to repel it. When it was only meters away, Trunks appeared next to her, trying to catch the blast, though it proved more than difficult. The Saiyan had been cursing himself this whole time for being constantly weaker than the others, only being able to hold off the original Zamasu, who was leagues below Black, and this wretched fusion. Trunks felt like a waste of time and space, like that year in the chamber with Vegeta hadn't done a thing for his future, as he had failed to incorporate God Ki into his Super Saiyan forms. But now, that was all he had. Super Saiyan 2 was his most powerful form, and he did have God Ki, but he just couldn't mix them together. The Saiyan was straining himself, trying desperately to do something to gain that power his father had. Mei yelped out in pain as the orb pinned her to the ground, burning her arm. She cried out for her papa, and Trunks remembered that scene from earlier. He remembered finding Gohan like that. The extreme feeling of regret and helplessness he felt, something he felt now. But on top of that, the intense hatred for those who would take anyone from those they cared about. A brilliant blue pillar of light shot up into the sky, causing the orb to swirl around Trunks himself, who stood in a small crater. The orb's color changed from black to blue and seemed to become a part of the Saiyan's aura, coating him with a mix of blue and gold energy. He had done it. He combined God Ki with his Super Saiyan form, but right now, all he could focus on was destroying Zamasu. All that the Saiyan held in his heart was rage. But that's where we're going to leave things off for right now. If you enjoyed this part, then maybe you'd like to see another timeline, one where the Bugman is a little more malevolent. Well, even if you don't, thank you for getting to this part of the video. You guys have a good day or night wherever you are. That's it for now. Bye bye.